Good Wednesday morning, and thank you for joining us here on KARE 11 News Now. I'm Jason Hackett. Let's get to your headlines.
I'm Ian Russell. Developing right now, 2 people are dead and another is hurt after a shooting at an ICE facility in Dallas, Texas. Authorities say the suspected shooter died from a self-inflicted gunshot wound after firing from a building adjacent to the ICE facility. Right now, a motive is not clear. However, investigators say there were anti-ICE messages found on rounds near the shooter. We do know that no ICE agents were hurt in this shooting.
This morning, a daycare center in Savage is temporarily closed after 2 infants were treated for breathing problems. One of them, a 10-month-old, died, and the other required emergency medical care. Rocking Horse Ranch Child Care is located on Louisiana Avenue, about 30 minutes south of Minneapolis. Audrey Russo is digging into the investigation.
Parents tell us they're still in the dark about exactly what happened at Rocking Horse Ranch. The Minnesota Department of Children, Youth and Families says it was notified of 2 infants who were treated for breathing problems, one on Friday and one on Monday. But it wasn't until yesterday that families learned through media reports that a 10-month-old baby had died. The Minnesota Department of Human Services declined our interview request, but we did some digging, and their records show multiple violations from the last year at Rocking Horse, including hazardous objects within kids' reach and a lack of personal hygiene products. Now, those issues were corrected by June of this year, so parents say they were taken aback and put on high alert when police told them to look for symptoms in their children like bruising, drowsiness, and vomiting.
When he was, starting to act drowsy, I was like, I freaked out for a second, but then I was like, oh, okay, no, he didn't nap today. That's why he's sleepy. He's probably okay. But then, just, a panic for a second.
Now, we reached out to Rocking Horse Ranch for an interview and we haven't heard back. Savage police say the daycare is cooperating with the investigation. In the meantime, parents tell us the daycare was supposed to host a family night this coming Friday, something they expect will not happen. Back to you.
Audrey, thank you. Right now, a suspected gunman is in custody and facing charges in connection to a mass shooting in August. 24-year-old Travion Green is behind bars on $2 million bond, accused of killing 1 person and injuring 6 others near the intersection of 29th and Clinton Avenue late last month. Green is the 3rd person charged in this case. He was already on parole and is now facing 1 count of second-degree murder and 6 attempted murder charges. Charging documents say on August 26th, 2 people gave Green a ride to the area of 29th and Clinton. That's where the shooting took place around 1:30 that afternoon. Ryan Quinn and Tiffany Martindale, the 2 others in the car, have already been charged for allegedly helping Green. They say he got out of the car wearing a mask, holding a rifle, and began shooting into the crowd standing on the sidewalk. After that, documents say Quinn and Martindale dropped Green off in North Minneapolis. Green was arrested on Monday night. He is expected back in court on October 1st. We're also learning this morning the man killed in the shooting was 35-year-old Gregory Sweeten. The 6 other victims have varying injuries. Well, right now, community leaders and state lawmakers are getting together looking for ideas to curb gun violence and promote peace. The event and panel discussion was hosted by Twin Cities Nonviolent, a nonpartisan group dedicated to preventing violence across the metro. Several DFL lawmakers gathered at St. Catherine University and took questions from groups like the Domestic Abuse Project and Research in Action. 1 seat on stage remained empty in honor of the late Representative Melissa Hortman. Event organizers say it's the first in a series of meetings for lawmakers and violence prevention groups to join forces and come up with a plan.
Are we in the position as a community to lift each other up? And that's what this event is about. Can we all come together to do that?
She tells us GOP lawmakers were unable to attend because of scheduling conflicts, but are hoping to be there at future forums. Turning now to the legal battle over a homeless encampment. A judge is issuing a temporary restraining order for Hamoudi Sabri, keeping him from setting up his encampments on his Minneapolis properties. It comes after a mass shooting on his property and several health and safety citations. In a statement to KARE 11 last evening, Sabri says he is planning his legal strategy, but also says he plans to, quote, hold the city accountable for its profound dereliction of duty and care in public health and safety. Meanwhile, a Minneapolis spokesperson tells us the city is pleased with the judge's decision and plans to keep working to provide help and resources as needed. Today, the Minnesota Board of Pardons is meeting to discuss a state panel recommendation to free Brian Pippett. The Attorney General's office says Pippett was wrongly convicted in the 1998 murder of 84-year-old Evelyn Malin. Today's meeting will include Governor Walz and Chief Justice Natalie Hudson. They will decide whether to commute Pippett's life sentence and release him from prison. For the first time this morning, the Robbinsdale School Board is hearing recommendations to fix its financial crisis. At a meeting last night, the group Reimagine Our Dale presented its nearly 40-page report to the board. They suggested building one new high school rather than having two, closing up to 3 middle schools and 6 elementary schools as well, and also focusing on arts and science programming.
I think the real question is will the board have a strong vision for the future? That's what's lacking. And how are we going to unite this unique school district of 7 communities?
The group also recommends asking voters to approve a building bond, something that hasn't been done in the district in 45 years. New this morning, we're learning Camp Mystic in Texas will reopen after last July's deadly flooding. 27 young campers and counselors lost their lives in devastating floods that hit Texas Hill Country. Owners sent out notifications Monday announcing a number of rebuilding projects underway to lead to next summer's reopening. In the flood's aftermath, the Texas legislature passed new laws to address camp safety. Camp Mystic leaders say they're implementing those new safety protocols, including moving cabins away from dangerous floodplains. The camp also said that it will build a memorial to those killed in the flooding. Now, that announcement has upset some parents who say they were not consulted or informed about it. Almost 1 week after he was suspended, Jimmy Kimmel was back on his ABC late night show last night. Parent company Disney pulled the host off the air after he made comments about the suspect who shot and killed Charlie Kirk, prompting conservative outrage and reaction from the FCC chairman. Critics said the government was stifling free speech. Now, though he's back on air, not all of the country can see the show. 2 of the nation's largest TV station owners choosing not to run it. NBC's Alice Barr has the latest details from Washington.
Hi there. President Trump, responding overnight to Jimmy Kimmel's return, suggested ABC could be facing another lawsuit as a free speech debate rages across the country, with Kimmel now weighing in.
From Hollywood, it's Jimmy Kimmel Live.
Overnight, the return of ABC's late-night host Jimmy Kimmel, who quickly addressed his comments about the Republican response to Charlie Kirk's murder that had him pulled off the air.
You understand that it was never my intention to make light of the murder of a young man. I don't think there's anything funny about it. Nor was it my intention to blame any specific group for the actions of what it was obviously a deeply disturbed individual.
Right before the show, President Trump slammed Kimmel and said ABC told the White House the show was canceled, something never publicly stated. Without evidence, he accused Kimmel of being an arm of the Democratic National Committee and alluded to another potential lawsuit against ABC. Writing, quote, "Last time I went after them, they gave me $16 million. This one sounds even more lucrative." Kimmel referenced the free speech firestorm his suspension touched off.
A government threat to silence a comedian the president doesn't like is anti-American.
Thanking those across the political spectrum who spoke out after the FCC chairman suggested there could be action against ABC stations that kept running the Kimmel show following his Kirk comments.
He threatens it. He says, we can do this the easy way, or we can do this the hard way. Yeah. And I got to say, that's right out of Goodfellas.
Kimmel's show is not airing everywhere, with station group owners Nexstar and Sinclair choosing to preempt the program in dozens of ABC stations they own across the country. Another wrinkle in this controversy, right now Nexstar is seeking approval for a $6 billion merger from the FCC chairman, who applauded the station group's move to preempt Kimmel, arguing that Democrats can't stand that local TV stations stood up to a national programmer. In Washington, I'm Alice Barr. Back to you.
The Minnesota Lynx are dealing with their first loss in the WNBA playoffs this morning. It was a tough one. It's after a stunning comeback win by the Phoenix Mercury, only the fifth 20-point comeback in WNBA history. It was looking like the Lynx had it in the third, but the Mercury picked up the pace in the fourth, coming down to a 3-point shot from Sammy Whitcomb to send it into overtime. Final score here, 89-83. Their next two in the series will be in Phoenix on Friday and Sunday. It is a 5-game series, so plenty of games to go. Stick with us. More news and weather coming up after the break.